Just a reminder that if anything ever feels uncomfortable, just take a break and take a breath. You want to just be really mindful of, your own abilities and where you're at today. I find that every day can be different in our pandemic life. Sometimes we feel energized, sometimes we feel tired. Just be respectful of your body. And Erin's here to help out and to monitor. So if you have any questions, feel free to pipe up. We've got lots of time. And we're going to go for a full body stretch and some mobility. So I'm going to start from the ground up. As some of you know, if you've tuned into the Facebook, it is Fall Prevention Month. So we've been working a little bit with balance. And one of the things that is crucial for balance is our feet. So I like to start these mobilities and stretch classes right from the ground up. Our feet transfer force throughout the whole body. So it's nice to get a little bit more of an awareness there, connect to the feet, maybe improve gait, strengthen some muscles there to help us keep our balance. So I'm going to have you, if it's comfortable, sitting forward on your chair a little bit so there's a bit of weight in your feet. You'll have, just a relaxed posture in your upper body. You don't have to, extend too far or sit up really tall, but you definitely don't want to feel hunched over. So just an awareness of your posture. If it feels comfortable, you can kind of have your hands just underneath the chair if you want to have a bit of grip, or you can just relax them at your sides. And the way that we are going to start this off is just by taking a few deep breaths. Our breath is very connected to our nervous system and helping keep us focused. And it helps to just open up the airways and get us ready to go. So I'll have you just take an inhale, feeling the chest expand, the belly expand, and then slowly exhale. Just kind of using the breath to bring yourself into the present moment as well. Our minds are often stuck at what we got to do next and what happened yesterday. So give yourself this time. This is a chance to focus on your body, focus on yourself. Take 2 more breaths just at your own pace. The inhale, bringing oxygen to all the cells of the body, and the exhale, just releasing any stagnant energy. And then you're going to turn your attention right down to your feet. So what I'm going to get you to do is just go a little bit wider with your toes. Think about splaying them out a little bit and having a little pressure from the toes into the floor, almost like as if you were in sand, like gripping a little bit into the floor, into your surface. And you might feel the bottoms of the feet, the arches a little bit. And don't worry too much about what you're feeling. Some of this stuff is really new. So just give yourself a chance to absorb some of this new information. And you can start to dig a little bit harder into the ground, almost like you were pulling that sand towards you, feeling the arches of the feet. And from there, you're going to start to lift the toes up now. So the opposite direction. You're going to peel those toes back, keep the balls of the feet into the floor. And depending on how much force you pull back with, you might start to feel some tension at the tops of the feet and maybe a little bit at the shins. You can start to press the heels down into the floor. And just taking a moment to breathe and absorb that. What we're going to try to do from here when we look and then nice and slow, controlled, you'll bring the heels back down, and we're going to lift the toes and the balls of the feet off the floor again. And this time, dig the heels into the floor. So maybe creating a bit more tension up the front of the leg. And again, if you're not feeling that right away, that's okay. And what we're going to do from here is begin to turn the feet to the outside. So those little toes are going to start to spin around. You might feel the knee move a little bit as well. And you're going to hold out there. This is a good opportunity to take a few more of those deep breaths as you're holding. So you've got your feet up and out, creating a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of mobility. And then keeping those feet up, we're going to start to turn them in. So the big toes will come towards each other. You'll kind of squeeze in a little bit, creating some force and a little bit of stretch. And you're always able to back off and take a break whenever you need to. Holding here for a breath. And then move those ankles back to center. Drop the toes back down, and you can take a little bit of a shake out, just lifting and lowering the feet. Always just conscious of your breath. And then the last thing that we're going to do with the feet and ankles here is create some circles. So you can start just by lifting the heels a little bit, and then just start rotating the ankles around. There's not a whole lot of motion able to happen here just because you're on the floor and your toes are connected, but just take some circles. And you'll feel the knees and maybe the hips move a little bit as well too. They'll kind of help guide your ankles. Not just taking some rotations, being nice and easy on yourself. And then you can start to move them in the other direction. Maybe one or two more circles. And then lower those heels down, maybe give one more shake. And we are going to move up the lower leg to the knee. So I like to have some hands on the chair for this one. And if you want to, you can offer a little bit more support for your spine here. You can lean back into the chair. We're going to start with your left leg. It'll be my right because I'm mirroring you. But we're going to start with the left and just begin to extend the knee and pull it back. If you've got some space, if you've got a hole in your chair like I do, you can bend the knee back and just keep going through that motion. You can start to think about how much force you're creating. So when you go to straighten the knee, maybe squeeze that quad a little bit and just never going beyond your own joint capability. So everybody has different degrees that they can straighten and bend the knee. So stay within your own parameters. Make sure your spine is comfortable. And when you lean back a little bit, you create a little bit of a bigger angle at the hip. So you have more opportunity to straighten. Just keep that motion flowing. A little bit of a squeeze at the top of the thigh when you straighten. And as you pull back, you might be able to feel the back of the leg a little bit too. You got those hamstrings back there that, are pulling the knee into the bend. So you might become more aware of that. Nice, easy mobility. And we're going to go for two more on this side. Last one here. What we'll do with the last one, if you feel comfortable, is maybe just hold it for a second or two. And feeling those muscles light up a little bit. And then lowering that leg, connecting the foot to the floor, a little bit of that shake. And you can get started with the other leg. And it's okay if one side feels different than the other. We are not symmetrical. I've been training people for 12 years and I've yet to find a symmetrical human being. So just go with whatever feels good, whatever your joint range of motion capabilities are today. As you straighten, just an awareness of the top of the thigh, those quad muscles. And as you bend back of the leg, hamstring muscles. You can just take a few breaths here, continuing to open up your airway, driving some oxygen to the muscles. And we'll go for two more here. Extending for one. And two. In the last one, if it feels good, give it a little hold, a little bit of an extra squeeze, getting some of those muscles turned on and lit up. And when you're ready, extending that leg down, taking a little shake. And we're going to keep moving up, go to the hips, and I'm going to have you sit forward a little bit on your chair. And then if it's comfortable, lean back. So you're opening up the angle of the hips here. So you're kind of extended back. I can show you sort of from the angle too, if the back of my chair was here, maybe just, lean a couple of degrees backwards, but make sure that the spine is supported. And we're going to take a bit of a wider stance here. So separating the legs. And you're going to drop one knee in. We're still starting with one leg and then just rotating it out, always staying within what's comfortable for you. I've still got my hands kind of rested on the bottom of the chair. I'm just taking a few rotations there. And as you're moving through this motion, just turning your awareness to your breath, giving yourself a chance to relax as your body moves, nice and gentle. And we'll go for 2 more. My famous last words, 2 more. Turning it in, bringing it back to a resting position, and then getting started with the other leg. It's light rotations. Being aware of your breath, being nice and slow, controlled with your movements, just making sure, they're not too fast and flapping around, but that you've got a nice steady pace. And we'll go 2 more. Last one here. And then resetting that position, just collecting yourself with a breath. And we're going to move both legs at the same time here. So leaning back, supported in your chair, and just bringing the legs together. And one of the differences you may feel with this one is the inner thighs contracting a little bit more to come together. You can bring the knees as close together as feels good for you. The closer that they come together, the more those inner thigh muscles will contract. The further that they come apart, the more that the glute muscles will contract. And depending on how much force you're putting in, how gentle you want to be today, you may not feel too much tension, and that's good too. Mobility is our focus today, but if you happen to feel those muscles working a little bit, not a bad thing either. We're in and out for 2 more. You can hear someone doing some very good, solid breathing. Keep that up. And then let the legs rest to center. Use your feet to help you reset your posture. Feet and hands can help you reset your posture. You still want to have a good amount of weight in the feet, like they're both, they're all both connected to the floor. Sitting up with a relaxed posture. And we're going to move from the hips just to the torso. So for this one, I like to have my hands just on my knees for a little bit of support. I'm going to sit a little further forward in the chair. And what we're going to work with here is flexion and extension of the spine. So you're going to, flexion is rounding forward. And what you want to feel here is the lower back kind of pushing back towards the back of the chair. You're going to let your shoulders hunch. And what'll happen when the shoulders hunch is that they will protract. That just means they're coming forward a bit and there's a bit of width in your shoulder blades. So I'll show you from the side as well. I'm pretty hunched over. And I'm going to get you to hold here and take a few breaths here as well. When you breathe and you're hunched over in this position, you kind of get the opportunity to send that breath into the lower back so that the erector spine muscles, the ones that are sitting here, they get a chance to get a bit of oxygen. And what you're going to think about, imagine your rib cage, whatever visual you have of that. Think about the air going between each rib. So you're opening up the airways as you breathe here. Your belly extends a little bit. I'll just get you to hold this for 2 more mindful breaths. And feel free to use the hands. You can lean a little bit. You can pull on the knees, take as much of, a stretch as you want here, just being really respectful of your body's current settings this morning. And then from here, really slowly and mindfully, you're going to begin to extend the spine. So that just means to straighten up. So you're going to start with the lower back, and your pelvis will tilt a little bit here as well too, as you start to straighten up. So feeling the lower back straighten. And then what we're going to do here is take the hands and the shoulders back a little bit as well too. So we're going to start to create a gentle arch, lower spine. So this is what we call extension. Your chest will start to expand forward and your shoulder blades will retract. That just means they come together a little bit. And you're going to hold here, and you can take as deep of a stretch as you want to here, but try to avoid leaning back. Sometimes the body, when we start to ask for motion, it'll start to pick it up from other places. We want to keep our sit bones heavy in our seat and avoid leaning back and think about the spine stretching. Everybody has different degrees of mobility in their spine. So again, just a reminder to be respectful of that. You want this to feel good. You want it to feel nice, not anything too excessive. Holding here, finding your own range of motion, and breathing. Taking one more breath. Good opportunity to really fill the chest with air here. You're already kind of extended open. So with that inhale, opening the chest. And then what we're going to do for a few times is float through those motions. Taking them really nice and slow, you're going to begin to return to that flex position. Start with the lower back. Feel the shoulders coming forward, hands coming forward, land in your little stretch, and then begin to extend back up. Really mindful, slow, controlled motions. We're going to work the neck on its own, but if you do feel like you want to, tilt the head back a little bit here, that's totally fine. And as you come down, you can start to tuck the chin in a little bit. And what we're going to do on this next movement is move with our breath. So we are going to inhale to extend. And we're going to exhale to round. I love to close my eyes when I start to do movement and breath. So if that feels good for you, just gives us a chance to go inward. Really pay attention to the movements. And as you add the breath, feel free to go at your own pace. We're going to do 3 or 4 more of them. Flowing with your breath, inhaling on the lift, exhaling down. Feeling free to move the hands along the legs as well. Maybe noticing a little bit of motion at the pelvis too. As you go to round and straighten, you'll feel those hips curving in. The spine is attached to the pelvis, so we can't get away from that movement there. And let's take 2 more here. Feeling the inhale helping us lift, and the exhale helping us cave over. And with that last one, the last time that you begin to pull up, bring your spine to neutral. Open the eyes if you have them closed. Let the shoulders relax. Reset your posture. And we are going to take our hands for this one and cross them around the collarbone. So resting very lightly on the chest. I love to have a wider stance for this one. We're going to start to rotate the spine. So again, trying to keep nice and heavy in the hips. We don't want any, movement with the hips as we go to rotate. We're going to think about that spine right at the base of the skull down to the pelvis. That's your movement point. So either having the hands here, sometimes what I find helpful too is to have the hands on the rib cage, because that's what's moving as well. So you can almost use your hands to guide your rotation if that feels good. Or if you want the arms out of the way, just resting them on the collarbone. So you're going to rotate yourself to one side. And what you can do too here is start to add in the neck, just by gently looking over the shoulder. If you're turned the same way to me as me, you're going to the right. So you can just gently look over the left shoulder. And as you're sitting here rotated, you want those shoulders to be down. Sometimes they try to help us rotate and they crank around. So keep them down, level with your collarbone. And just breathing into that rotation. Anytime that we change the position of the rib cage, we offer a different opportunity for the intercostal muscles, which are the muscles in between the ribs, to flex, contract differently. Start to move your great opportunity with the breath as well, just to offer some ease to the nervous system. And we're going to go to each side one more time. So beginning to move back over to the right. And sometimes when you go for a second round, the motion opens up a little bit and you can squeeze into it a little bit more. And if not, that's also fine. And let's begin to move last time over to the left side. Pausing here for your last breath in rotation. And then working your way back to center, resetting, drop the arms. And let's just take a few rolls of the shoulder here before we go on to our next movement. It'll be our last movement for the spine. We're going to go into lateral flexion. So that just means side bending. So we're going to, again, return the hands just to rest on the collarbone, and you're going to create a little bit of a side crunch. So with this one, again, mindful of the hips. When we go to look for motion, sometimes we tend to lean over, shift weight. So find that heaviness in the sit bones, the connection between your feet and the floor, and think about that space kind of right around the chest to the pelvis, crunching and closing off. Another cheaty way that your body likes to gain motion is through the shoulders. So mind that you're level with your collarbone, squeezing into that side bend. And once you're side bent, another great opportunity for those intercostal muscles, the breathing muscles in between the ribs, take a deep breath in. Belly expands. Do one more breath on this side. I can already see my own shoulders creeping up here in the camera, so be mindful of that. Take your breath. And then move on over to the other side. And just feel yourself lifting out of that crunch and working your way over to the other side. Landing there, checking in with your hips, your feet, your shoulders. Taking your breaths. We will go one more time each side. So mindfully, consciously, slowly lifting yourself out of that crunch. And then squeezing down, other side. Take a breath here. And begin to lift yourself last time, last spinal motion over to the other side. Once you've landed it, take your breath. Lift yourself to the center. Let's drop those arms, shake the fingers out a little bit. And we're going to move on to the arms and the shoulders. So I'm going to have everyone just lift the arms up. I'm going to face the side so you have a better angle of what I'm doing here. Arms are going to be lifted up here. And we're going to interlace the fingers, or at least have them touching here. You can have the palms together, or you can lace the fingers. Some of us, as we're going for a forward stretch with the spine and the shoulders, some of us like to lace the hands and push. That's fine. You can grab a wrist as well. But that's what we're going to do here, mindful of the sit bones, and push those shoulders forward. We'll have a little tuck of the chin as well here. No right or wrong with the hands. We want to be respectful of the wrist motion as well. So again, just any position that feels good for the hands. Just think about reaching forward and finding some width in the shoulder blades. So if you can envision where they are here, they're sort of moving across your back, creating some width. And from here, you're going to open the hands up and reach them around to the back. So you're keeping the height in the shoulders, reaching back, and now squeezing the shoulder blades together. If it is too much to hold your arms up like this, drop them and focus on the shoulder blades squeezing together. We're going to go one more time, shoulders forward. Reach, create width. And our last time here, opening up. Chest opens up here, shoulder blades squeeze together. Maybe take a breath into the chest, open here, expanded. And let's bring our shoulders and spine back to neutral, drop the arms down. And right from here, let's lift the shoulders up to our ears. We'll hold here and then begin to press the shoulders down. Now think about your hands, pressing something away from you, and you're creating some distance between the ears and the shoulders. So moving from that sort of scrunched up, hunched up position here, elevation of the collarbone, the shoulder joint. And we'll go one more time, lowering that down. Pressing down, maybe feeling some of the muscles of the back as you actively push your hands, shoulder blades down. Bring them back to a nice neutral position, and we're going to start to create some circles. So revisiting that lift, that push back. So it's a combination of all the motions we just did. Bring it forward, up, back, and down. Now, an option here to include the arms and create a bit more motion around the shoulder is to bring the hands to the collarbone and start to include the elbows. We're going to move into sort of the elbows and the wrists next. So you can start this. And if that does not feel good, then you keep your arms down and focus on the shoulders. Just creating mobility this morning. Whatever feels good for you. And we're going to start to move into the other direction. Same exact motion. So we lift up and forward, down and back. Dropping the arms if that doesn't feel good. Just creating some nice big circles. And let's take one more here. And bringing these shoulders to still, and you can, lift and lower, shake out a little bit. And we're going to move down a little bit to the arms. So just all we're going to do here is some circles of the elbow. And you can flip directions, just a few of these. Going for 2 more circles here, and then we will rest the arms at the side. Let's have the palms open, beginning to include the fingers and hands. Let's have them splayed nice and wide open, so there's a bit of a stretch there. And you're just going to bend and straighten the elbows like you were doing a bicep curl. A slow motion, almost like you're moving through water, creating some of your own contraction as you lift. And lower down, extending the elbows. Going for 2 more. Just beginning to wake up some of the muscles in the arms. And then our last stretch for the arms will go down to the wrist. Again, always being respectful of your own joint motion capabilities. We're going to use one hand to help, and we're going to put a little bit of a press, a little bit of leverage into that palm. So this hand, I've got pulling the palm back so that we create a little bit of length in the forearm. You can have the arms down, you can have them extended out, sort of choosing the position that is most effective for you. Tell them you're busy. No, it's fine. I'm just teasing. And we are going to switch hands right here. Just pausing in this position. You can take your breaths here. And then dropping both hands down to the sides, just start to take some circles of the wrist. Rotations, you can kind of involve the fingers. There's no right or wrong with this one. Everyone's joints are different and rotate a little bit different, but you just kind of want to be, creating some rotation at the wrist joint. And you can have your hands down so your shoulders are relaxed. There you are. And we are going to move up to the neck. So if you want to sit back a little bit now and have your spine supported, if you feel like you've been kind of sitting forward for a long time and you want to have your spine relaxed, that's fine. We're going to keep focused right on the head. So similar to what we did at the spine first, we're going to tilt the head down, tuck that chin to the chest, and see if you can start to experience some length in the back of the neck. So from the base of the skull, and you may need to round your shoulders a little bit here as well and bend the spine a bit. That's fine too. And then from here, really gentle and really mindful of the motions at the neck. You really don't want to let gravity take over too much. So very mindfully and slowly lifting, controlling the motion. You're going to tilt that chin up to the ceiling. Stick the chin out and start to experience some length at the front of the neck. There's lots of muscles that support the stability of the cervical spine in the front that we don't think about. We often think about our throat and like the voice box, but there's lots of stuff there. What I would suggest is closing your mouth, so teeth together, and sticking that chin up. Be mindful of your shoulders as you're working the neck. They're very connected, a lot of them neck and shoulder muscles. Just make sure that they're not hunching up too much, that they're pressed down and relaxed. And we go one more time, tucking down. Slow, controlled motions. Drive that chin into the chest as much as you can, being respectful of your own ranges of motion today, just creating a bit of length in the muscles. And we go one more time back. So begin to tilt the chin up. Closing the mouth. bringing the head back to neutral, we're going to begin to rotate the head. So we can head over to the left first. Again, mindful of the shoulders with this one. It's kind of good to sit back so that they can't move as much, so you prevent some motion there, because what always wants to happen is the help from the shoulder. So take your chin over the shoulder and keep looking over the shoulder. That'll help you move into that position a little bit further if your gaze is over behind the shoulder. And you will experience a little bit more of a stretch if you contract the muscles and keep looking over the shoulder. And let's go ahead and slowly move it through center over to the other side, making sure the shoulders stay put. Landing there and just exploring that end range of motion. Keeping the gaze over the right shoulder. And bringing it back to center. And this time we are going to tilt the head. So similar like we did with the side bending of the spine, we're going to side bend at the neck. So think about your ear coming close to the shoulder and try and keep your, your head in the same plane. A lot of times when we're trying to move into this position, we'll start to rotate down or back. So think about, even if you have to use your hands to kind of show you where that spinning point, that pivot point is. And one thing that you can explore doing here is using this hand for a little bit of resistance. So
sorry, I'm going to sign out. Sorry.
Front part of the forehead into the hand very gently, and you might feel a little bit of opening on that side there. Be mindful of how much force you're creating. A lot of these motions can be new or different, so just being careful how much you push, but it's an opportunity to create a little bit more length there. We will get you to remove the hand and just remain there for a breath or two. And then slowly moving it over to the other side, creating that motion first, finding your pivot point, ear towards the shoulder. And if you're looking for a little bit of a deeper stretch, just a slight press into the forehead. Letting the hand go, just remaining there for a breath or two. And bringing the head back to center. And what we're going to do here to finish up is take a few circles of the neck. So you're going to visit each of those positions that you just did, but making it one motion. So we're going to start by tucking the chin down to the chest. You can start to move the head over to the left, exploring that side bend, and then looking up and taking it over to the right side, tucking the chin down. We go one more in that direction before we shift. And again, making sure you're really mindful of this motion and really gentle on your neck. Once the chin is down, tucked to the chest, let's begin to change directions. Doing 2 circles this way. And when the chin is tucked to the chest, just let it remain there for a moment. Let your head hang. Let's begin to round the back one more time, hunching over wide in the shoulder blades. Taking a moment to breathe here. And then slowly straightening out. And we're going to take from the ground up again, one more little shake of the legs and start to release any tension in the fingers. Roll out the shoulders. And just if everyone's okay, you can remain seated if you want to, but if everyone feels okay to stand, I'm going to get you to finish off standing up, wide stance of the legs. Just take a few little rotations, let the arms be heavy, just letting go of any of the tension that you might have created, letting those stretches set into the body. Just clear it out, any stagnant energy. You can give maybe one more shake of the hands, a few rolls of the shoulders, wiggles of the toes and ankles. And you are all set. We will leave it there. I hope that felt good for everyone. I hope everyone feels okay, a little bit looser.